It's like a nectar for the cold. It's very simple, but somehow every year it feels something new. Hello everyone, welcome back to Jung's Table. You know what's the best way to shake off cold in winter in Korea? It's this Eomuk or fish cake. You'll see people huddled in a cart, sipping this fish cake broth, warming their hands and faces. It's almost like a fire pit in the streets. So fish cake, like many other Korean foods, originates from Japan, kama boko. They're, I think, white fish mashed, seasoned, and steamed on a bamboo stick. And that method crossed the sea in the 1900s to Busan and Tongyang, two port cities in Korea that are closest to Japan. So before, it was Busan and Tongyang's regional food, but that became famous nationwide after the Korean War. Busan was the final refuge during the Korean War, and when the refugees poured into Busan, this Eomuk became many of their soul food. And that's how Busan became the heart of Korean fish cake story. So today we have the different types of Eomuk, the fish cake, and a Busan specialty, this 물떡, one konjac. This konjac, I think, is also inspired from Japan because if you travel Japan, especially around this season, you'll see a lot of Eomuk and the konjac, those kind of things sold in convenience stores. And before then, and I think this konjac in the fish cake soup is based on their idea. And when I was growing up, the stall in front of my place only had these two, the skinny one and the curly one. And at the back, they would have different color stickers to indicate their prices. And the skinny one would be, I think, around 30 cents, I think, per stick. And this one, 50 cents. But I guess they were using cheap brand, but the one that was supposed to be better, the one has more fish, was a bit too fishy, so I didn't really like it. So I usually got the skinnier one, the cheaper one. If you take a bite of it, it's like feels lighter, softer, and it blends better with the broth. And speaking of the broth, you won't see it over here, but when you go to the stall, it will be divided into at least 6 sections, and one of the sections will only have the ingredients to make the broth good. Like, I think, well, almost every stall uses radish, and the one I went to had these, something like anchovy, Korean version of anchovy we used for the broth, and onions and green onions. With probably some of the MSG too. But if you have a bite of this Eomuk and the sip of that broth, it's like a nectar for the cold. It's very simple, but somehow every year it feels something new. So let's try this with my childhood favorite. And when you eat them at the food stall, it's really funny. You don't have to say anything, just grab what you want and eat it. And when you're done eating, they'll count how many sticks you ate and then calculate it afterwards. And I think those are like those Korean vibe that it's hard to see in other countries. Some places, they will just pile them up and then have those boxes for the money and expect people to pay how much they bring it with them. Oh, and they would usually also have this little pot with the soy sauce and a lot of peppers, and they'll have this special brush. And it might look very unsanitary, but we trust that we don't double dip or double paint in this case because it's a brush. But we would season it with that brush with the soy sauce and then bring that like the little spiciness from that pepper, but also that savory, rich flavor from the soy sauce. If you double paint, trust me, the stall owner is gonna get pissed at you. Anyway, this time let's try the curly one. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. This one is so soft and it's just like easy to chew compared to the one I just had, the skinny one with more flour. That was a little stuffy when you had the whole thing at once. But this one, because it's curly and like thinner, it really absorbs that broth really well. And the texture-wise, it's like almost fluffy. It's that soft. Now at the food stall, not usually, it's like a rule. The soup, the broth is free, so you can just scoop it to your paper cup like this. But it will be super hot, so you want to double cup it. And this is exactly how you want to eat it, like if you're experiencing that food stall vibe. You would get your cup ready with a full of broth, and then grab a skewer with whatever you want to eat, and then use it as your mini cup. And this one, I want to say it's like a local hero for that Busan food stall, like where they sell tteokbokki and eomuk and those kind of things all together. Murdeok is basically watered rice cake. Unlike other regions, Busan also uses this fat, long rice cake for their tteokbokki as well. So I think it's for those who couldn't handle the spice, and then they just dipped it long in the broth and waited until it like becomes like flaky. Now I heard this murdeok all started for those who couldn't handle the tteokbokki spiciness, especially for the Japanese tourists, but the locals really loved it and it became the regional specialty. Now if you have a bite of it, it's like very chewy and it just gets that broth different from the eomuk because this is like kind of bland. It really is that all about the texture and then the broth. Now you can eat it plain just like how I did, or add the soy sauce that you add on top of the oden. Or some people even like to add the tteokbokki sauce on top. And then you might be wondering, isn't it just the same tteokbokki because same tteok and same sauce? But trust me, it is different because it's just only the hint of that red and spicy sauce on top of this umami-rich base. And also because it gets all like watery, it's not that spicy and that strong as the tteokbokki. Now as they cook it, I want to say it like almost melts in the broth. Like even the outside, I don't think you can see it on the camera, but it's like very rough texture, and that's because I think the starch is coming out from the rice cake, and I guess it's doing something with the broth. Yeah, but some people love it so much that they even go to the tteokbokki stall just to eat this, especially in Busan because it hits very different. I think the broth is like more deep and a little bit more, it has kick to it. I don't know what they add, but it's quite different. And to name one, my sister is one of them who just goes to Busan and eats this murdeok. It's so bouncy and so chewy, it's just so good. Now these were the classics that you can find anywhere you go, but this time let's try the red ones. So this red eomuk, so this red fish cake, it started in Jecheon. It's a whole different city, and they're known for their spiciness because I think around that region they grow a lot of peppers. And I heard the first one who created this red eomuk was a lady like Miss Kim, making her son's lunchbox and thought this plain oden was too simple and she wanted to add that spiciness to it. So let's try and see how spicy it is. Even the sauce is like so thick compared to this, it's just no sauce at all, just the broth. I smell a lot of, well, green onions because it has it on top. Now in Korea, we have another dish called eomuk 볶음, eomuk stir fry. We usually eat for side dish, and I thought this would be more similar to that, but it's actually the sauce on top of this broth-soaked oden, so it's very soft and fluffy, as I said, with that extra spicy kick in your mouth. So I do like the spicy food, so I'm enjoying it, but if you're the type of people who can't even eat tteokbokki, stay away from this. So this red version all started in the 1980s, but today it's become more popular and widely known that I heard starting this year they started this Red Oden Festival in Jecheon. And I heard at that festival they were also showing some other forms of red oden like 불닭 and mara. I think mara is gonna be pretty good too. And so now if this red one was a Jecheon version of this Busan oden, we have Busan style of this Jecheon 빨간 어묵. It's this red murdeok over here. And it's also my first time trying it, and I was surprised to know that there was such a thing. Before I'm at it, I'm very curious to see if it's like more like tteokbokki or the tteokbokki plus the broth version that I mentioned to you about, or just something completely different. But just by looking at it, it looks pretty much similar to the Busan style tteokbokki because their style is using this thick and long rice cake with less sauce. So it is like, I can definitely taste that umami-rich broth base and a little bit of that tteokbokki sauce, but instead of like the gochujang heavy style tteokbokki, this is more like a pepper powder style. So it's somewhat like tteokbokki sauce in the beginning, but it ends with that like clean and stingy spice at the end. Now I bought them in a Korean traditional market called Mangwon Sijang, and I would definitely recommend you to try this red bulldog. It's like nothing I've had before. It's so addicting. I think I might want to go back and buy some more. So today we went over from the Busan style to Chechen style and somewhere in the middle of the mix-up and learned how Koreans keep themselves warm in the cold winter. So from classical Busan style to new Chechen and somewhat mix-up of each, we learned how Koreans keep themselves warm in the cold winter. It's like a fire pit in the street. Well, if there is anything else you want to learn about the Eomuk or bulldog, please let me know in the comment and I'll catch you up. Thank you for watching always and see you next time.